Hi, I'm Jason Ross. I serve as president here at Providence Classical Christian Academy. I'm in my 14th year here at Providence. You know, a State of the School address is a snapshot. It's a recap of some of the things that have happened in recent months here at Providence, and it's also a sneak peek at some of the things to come. Some years we've taken the approach to write a letter out to our community, the stakeholders at Providence, to give an update. Other times I might have made a presentation in person. The approach I want to take this year is for you to hear the heart of some of our leadership team. And so I've invited Mrs. Abbott, who's head of grammar school, Mr. Whitaker, who's head of our upper school, Coach Jeff Daniels, who's athletic director here at Providence, and then Dr. Webb, who is our board chair, to come and visit and to tell you from their perspective some of the highlights of things that are under their purview. We've had the school-wide theme this year of Be the Light. And so I want to capture some of the ways that God has allowed or caused students, staff, and parents to be inspired and to truly be the light in these areas of the school. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it blesses you, and have a great day. Now we have Mr. Eric Whitaker, who's interim head of upper school. You know, you stepped in at semester this year when Mr. Hopkins felt called away.
Yes, sir.
And I know that was a transition for the school in terms of, being mid-year like that. It was also a transition for you and your family.
Right.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for stepping into that leadership role.
My pleasure.
Why don't you share some highlights as you stepped in? How have you seen the upper school manifest being the light this year?
Right. Of course, as you mentioned, being the light is our theme this year, and I've seen that in so many ways. One way is through our teachers. You know, our teachers are just phenomenal.
They are.
And I've seen that recently. Miss Valerie Lockhart and I have been in the classrooms, and it just confirms that we have incredible teachers instructing our students. And, you know, I'm also reminded of a staff development we had here a few months ago. What we did is we looked at proof and evidence of what we're doing well in the classroom. So we looked at how are teachers integrating biblical content, how are they differentiating their teaching, how are they engaging students. And you know, by the end of that staff development, we had a whole stack of proof and evidence, really just validating that our teachers are phenomenal.
Well, you may remember I got to be in part of that meeting.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. I had the takeaway I wish every parent could hear what's taking place in the classroom like this. I just really was impressed with how they were integrating biblical worldview and so forth. So it was great.
Right.
What else stands out in terms of highlights from this year?
Yeah, of course, our students. No matter what our students put their mind to, they always come across as successful and well prepared for whatever it is. You know, whether it's an academic competition, I'm reminded of some things that just recently happened. For example, we had one student who had a perfect ACT score. That's phenomenal. Less than 1% of American students have that.
It is.
And another thing that comes across my mind is we have 2 National Merit finalists on campus, not just 1, but 2. That's phenomenal as well.
It really is.
And I'm just reminded of all the various competitions, like math counts, regional science fair, robotics, all those competitions. The kids just do a phenomenal job every time. Another example, Mr. Kagi takes students down to Little Rock to Team Pact. And every year, the leaders of that comment that our students are just phenomenal and really stand above the other students from other schools. And I just attribute that to the Lord at work, within the lives of our kids.
Yes. I am so proud, and I know you are, of our students and
Absolutely.
their accomplishments. I think of Dr. McWilliams telling me just a few weeks ago, he's taught in a number of different settings, including the college level.
Right.
And he spoke to how strong our students are.
Absolutely.
And so anyway, it was good to hear his testimony to that effect.
Right.
What else, in terms of being the light this year, comes to mind, for you and your role, especially in the second semester, but over the course of the year as well?
As you know, our student motto is to build leaders for Christ. And part of being a leader is not just standing out academically, or it's also being a servant. And I also see that within our students. For example, at our recent Grandparents' Day, we had students serving those grandparents as they came in the building and as they exited. By the way, we also had over 100 grandparents there as well.
It was a great turnout. It really was.
And, just various items like that. We have athletic teams. We also have academic teams who are going out into the community, serving the community. For example, we recently had over 40 students go to New Life Ranch, and they spent an entire day just simply serving New Life Ranch and their needs. And really that was all under the name of Christ, being a leader for Christ in that regard.
I love that, Mr. Whitaker. Yeah. Well, it's so key that we partner well with parents in developing that servant leadership potential. And so I love to see our students, and they're just self-motivated to do much of what they're doing.
They are.
It's such a blessing, such an encouragement, especially in our climate and society today to see them stepping out like that. That's great. Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was so pleased early this semester, as you know, a group of students came to me and asked, Mr. Whitaker, can we meet with you about chapel times? And what impressed me is that the Lord was at work in their hearts. And that's what we want as parents, right? That's what we want as administrators and teachers as well.
Yes.
We want the Lord to be at work in the lives of our students.
Absolutely.
And they approached me and said, we really want to see chapel as being impactful, and used by the Lord. And so I just let them brainstorm and share ideas. And the beauty of it is we're implementing their ideas in chapel. We're bringing in guest speakers and bringing relevant topics to them. But also, it's students leading students. So we've started implementing that, and I would love to see more of that in the future as well. But the beauty of that is it was their idea. The Lord at work in their hearts. So that shows that the Lord is working in them, building them to be leaders. And in fact, kind of the epitome of that was just the other day. The climax of that. It was senior chapel. And in senior chapel, I was honestly, I just let them take the lead. They came up with everything, and I was in the back as they were leading student worship. And we had our students worshiping, we had parents worshiping, we had staff members worshiping, and it's all being led by seniors. And I got a little choked up back there, to be honest, because it just struck my heart. These guys are prepared; they're ready for the next step, and that's what we're here for.
It is.
We're here to grow them and help them develop into that. And it was just such a blessing to see them leading us in worship to the Lord.
Wow,
during that
that's
event.
so encouraging. Well, I want to commend you again for stepping into leadership here in this second semester. You obviously, as well, continued to teach some of your courses that you had in the first semester. So I know it was a lot for you to juggle, so to speak, but you've done it well. You've kept the mission and vision, on course at the upper, along with the other leaders there that serve with you. And so great job, at the upper campus this semester. Well, thank you for being with us and sharing those updates. And anything else you want to share as we close out?
Just one final thing, parents, thank you so much. None of this could be possible without the partnership of parents.
That's right.
Thank you for partnering with Providence to allow all these wonderful successes.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm here with Mrs. Chelsea Abbott, head of grammar school here at Providence Academy. As Mrs. Abbott knows well, this year's theme was Be the Light. And I just wanted to ask you, Mrs. Abbott, to share with those who are viewing how at the grammar campus our students, our staff, our school got to be the light.
Yeah, sure. So I'd start by saying we've worked so hard this year on implementing our morning doxa time at the grammar campus. And so that has just been a sweet, sweet time for us. Every Tuesday morning we get together just as a school campus community. And part of that, there's several things that we do, but part of that is our students have memorized our school verse that talks about being the light. And so they've hidden that word in their heart, and we say it every week, and they say it in their classrooms. And so there have been several opportunities when students they've hidden it in their heart, and now they're living that out. One event that comes to mind, or story that comes to mind, is we have a fourth grader who the Lord just placed it on his heart that he wanted to do something with a local food bank. And so he decided that he was going to plan and host a wiffle ball tournament a few weeks ago. And so with a little support from his parents, he was able to pull that off and raise over $1,000 and tons
great.
of canned food items for the NWA Food Bank. And that was student led. And so he took that, and he was a light not only to the people within our Providence community, but our local community as well. And so that's just one example of a student, a fourth grader, who has just stepped out, and he was a light in his community.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
I know. I was so proud of him, and I know his mom and dad were just so proud. So that's an example. Our teachers, I say all the time, we are blessed with teachers who really instill in our students the idea of finding truth. They're girding our students up with truth, not only with what they're teaching, but in even just the way that they are acting and that they're responding to those students. And so they are being a light even then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of other highlights for the year, what could you share just that stands out in your mind as, high marks, if you will,
Sure.
on the year?
Well, I'll say this year has been a good year.
Good.
We got through, we had 2020 where it was COVID, and then last year it was remote learning and
Yes.
figuring out what this looks like. And so this year we worked really hard and made it a focus to try to make this year seem as normal
Yes.
as we possibly could for our co-teachers and for our teachers and for our students. And I feel like we've done that and we've accomplished that. And as a mom, I feel like, every beginning of the year, it takes us a little while to kind of figure out what we're doing. But I feel like once we got in the groove, it was just such a smooth, good year. We moved forward. We, like I said, morning doxa. We have really worked hard with fine arts this year. And so art, we really have built a curriculum and written a curriculum that is integrated into our Bible and history. So that was a huge improvement. I feel like for us this year, students have really enjoyed that time. Family nights, we've gotten back to doing lots of family nights where we're all gathered together.
Those are so good.
Oh, they are. And we actually had Western Day not that long ago, and our pie eating contest and all of the fun things that come with that. And so I feel like this year our focus has been just that community building, kind of getting back to what our model is designed to be. And so I feel like we've done that. It's been a good year.
I so appreciate that. One thing I've heard a lot about this year was the parent training.
Yeah.
Toward the beginning of the year, maybe at other points in the year. Share with me, if you would, about
Sure.
Highlights from that.
Of course. So part of our model is we're equipping parents. We're partnering with parents, and in order to partner with parents, we have to equip them to be able to do their job at home. And so over time, we've worked to really fine tune, I feel like, our parent training. And so at the beginning of the school year this year, parents were really happy because instead of 3 days, we were able to condense everything kind of down to 1 day. We tried to focus on areas that we after surveys and all these different things that parents felt like were critical or really important for them to know. And so we had a couple wonderful breakout sessions where parents got to choose what session they wanted to go to. We covered topics like narration, family discipleship. What does it look like to disciple my kids on a home day naturally? Like, how do I integrate that into our everyday? And then, of course, things just curriculum focused. So all about reading and all about spelling and Shirley and Saxon and how do I do this at home? We have a lot of parents who they're educators, and so some of that they've been trained on, and naturally they're able to kind of take that on and understand how to teach their child at home. But a lot of our parents aren't, and so they don't always feel equipped to do that. And we just want that to be a time where we're encouraging them. The Lord has called you to this. He's called you to this model, and He's not going to fail you in that. He is going to equip you to do this work that He's called you to do. And so I feel like that was an encouraging time for our parents, a chance for us to all get together, to start our year out together, and remind ourselves, why is it that we do what we do?
You know, I really can look at the beginning of the year, and now we're very near to the end of the year, and just see development in our students. And it's really exciting to me. You get a closer look at the grammar school and how much those students have grown over the year. Do you have any comments about that?
I would say it's incredible to me. We were talking about this yesterday. I have a kindergartner. And years ago, I was a kindergarten teacher, and I always said kindergarten is exhausting. But one thing about kindergarten is you see so much growth over the course of the year. You have these students who come to you and really don't know much. You know, they're learning how to do school and all these things. And I walked in that kindergarten class the other day, and I mean, they're writing like paragraphs, and they're doing all this journal writing, and they're readers, and it's just incredible to me to look at that and see, man, our parents and our teachers, look at all of the work that they have done and how that's paid off in a year. And
it's so fruitful.
It really is. And one thing I love so much about this model on the same end of that is, as a classroom teacher, when you're teaching your students, those moments that you live for are those moments where it's like, man, that light bulb moment where your students are like, they get it. They get what I'm saying. They've got this concept. And in this model, as a parent, you get to experience that at home. You know, like I get, oh man, Benton Habit, he finally got that doubles +1. Praise Jesus. We've been working for weeks, and now he can say, oh, I know 5 + 5 is 10, +1 is 11. Praise the Lord. We've got it. And so those are the moments as a mom that even on the hard days, it's like, man, I just live for those moments where I got to experience, I got to see firsthand his growth in that content. And that's just kindergarten. I mean, we can look K6 and see just all that our students have learned. They've grown academically, they've grown socially, they've grown spiritually this year. And it makes it so worth it. And it's one of the things I love most about my job, and one of the things that I love most about being a co-teacher in this model. And I know that will continue next year and the year after and the year after. Building leaders, a little step at a time.
Absolutely. Chapels have been really good this year as well. I know you had a vision to improve chapel in some ways. Can you touch on that?
Sure. So we wanted chapel to be more aligned to what our school theme was for the year, which was Be the Light. I feel like we've done that. Of course, there's always areas every year we're like, can we make it better? And so we're looking at even that for next year. But we changed up our space a little bit for chapel. We changed up our music, again, tying in and incorporating that Be the Light. We've really tried to just let that penetrate everything we do this school year, and the same with chapel.
I think between Doxa and chapels being focused on that theme, I really do think that students embrace that, that it is being buried in their heart.
That's right.
That's a beautiful thing.
It
really is.
It is.
Well, I commend you, Mrs. Abbott, for your leadership at the grammar school. And your team has done a great job this year, sincerely. And we want to commend those co-teachers at the grammar school level as well. Thank you for partnering with us this year. I'm glad to have Coach Jeff Daniels join us now. Coach Daniels, you've been leading at the school in terms of directing athletics for 3 years now. And I just wanted for everyone to hear from you in terms of our theme, Be the Light. How have our student athletes this year, how has the department been able to exude the light of Christ? And any highlights that you want to share with us from an athletic perspective?
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be able to talk about our students and the athletic program. Currently, we have 26 teams. We offer 10 sports, and we have about 350 athletes competing.
Wow.
On those teams.
It's quite a few.
And, we're seeing really, really good success on the floor, on the courts, on the competition fields. I think our most recent competitive cheer team won the state championship. And we have a number of teams competing this coming weekend for state championships. So it's really a good time for success on the court, but off the floor is even more important to us, obviously at Providence, and as you said, being the light. So I'm not real good at keeping up with all the community service hours. I want our student athletes to serve because we're asked to do that in Scripture. You don't need a camera to follow you around to serve, but I know that we're out there. Everything from Camp Barnabas. I know our basketball teams recently did their third stint with the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank, and we're currently assisting AAO with their shoe drive, kind of a used shoe drive. We have a number of students that are donating and helping to collect and that sort of thing with them. Just watching our students in their teams, the Bible studies, the discipleship, different things that are going on just between the players, but also coach to player, is really exciting. And it's part of our one of the pillars we always talk about in athletics are social responsibility, academic integrity, athletic excellence, and then spiritual growth. And so the spiritual growth is what we're really, seeing happen, and seeing the students not only connect to each other, but connect with the coaches as well.
Well, obviously, that is at the core of who we are as a school. And so it just thrills my heart to hear you talk about that. It really does. Yeah,
it's a good time, and you're seeing, it's one of those things as one senior group leaves, you've got kind of the next wave of leaders coming in right behind them. But I think our seniors are doing a good job right now, passing down a really good legacy, not only on the athletic performance side, obviously, but also how we continue to grow as teams spiritually.
You talked about one of the pillars for the department being competitive excellence. Obviously, as believers, we don't have to take a sideline in terms of being competitive and being capable and willing to give our best, whether it's this sport or that. How would you capsulize our students' performance this year? How do you feel about what they've been able to accomplish?
I think we've had some outstanding teams. We had some outstanding individual performances. We have a number of athletes right now, and I'm thinking about track and field. We've got one young lady that has, from whether you're going from private school to 7A, she's got one of the top 5 1600 times in the state, and she's only an 8th grader. And that's going from 7th through 12th grade. So, both our basketball teams recently, won their regional, competed in the Final Four of the state. Our golf team is a heavy favorite to win their second state tournament in a row. And, without the pandemic season, we might have had a chance to win 3 in a row. But and we've got, some of our athletes. We've got, I think, our first ever young lady from our competitive cheer squad going on to cheer in college. I know we've got a golfer that's going, and we've got one of the boys basketball, one of the girls basketball players that are heading on to compete in college in their sports. So I think, from that side, I think it's been, a good year, and obviously it's something that we want to continue to improve on and excel in.
You touched on the pandemic. Obviously, scheduling the last couple of years has really been a challenge. But I really want to commend you and the staff, coaching staff, for continuing to strive to get, meets and games, etc., matches for our student athletes to have and participate in. Because again, I know that was kind of a challenge over the last couple of years. I'm just thankful that they could play.
Yeah, and I am too. And our parents have been great about being flexible and understanding, and our administration too, because it's, sometimes you get the phone call and another team has had a game canceled due to COVID or whatever the case may be. So sometimes it was, you find out a day before and you're going to have to check out of school early and, just kind of getting everyone notified. But our administration's been very flexible in assisting in that, along with the parents, because it is, quite an ask sometimes at the last minute. But that's kind of the nature of just how things have been, the last couple of years. It is wonderful, because I know our students want to compete. They practice to compete, and so it's good to see them out there getting an opportunity to do that.
Coach Daniels, I appreciate your leadership so much in athletics and at the school in general. I value how you prioritize. I don't think we have things out of balance. I think athletics clearly has its place and has a proper place, a good place at the school. But obviously, spiritual development being foundational, you just bring that across in a strong way, and obviously the academic side as well. You help our student athletes to prioritize their studies, and you and your staff. I just want to say thank you. I want to commend you for your leadership and your approach to athletics.
Well, Jason, I appreciate it, and thank you for your leadership, and it's certainly an honor to be sitting in this chair here, and I think we've got a good group of students and a good community. So that's the thing, you see how they're developing in those areas, and it's kind of keeps your pulse going, and watching them or trying to help them, get to where they want to be in terms of those 4 areas we really see as an opportunity to serve them in that way.
Speaking of service, I know any department at the school can express appreciation for parent volunteers and student volunteers that really help to drive some of our programming and so forth. Is there anything you'd like to say along those lines, just about the volunteerism in athletics? We have a number of parents that step forward. Really, each time there's an event, whether it's assisting with collecting gate. I know, for instance, Mr. Don Russell, who's been with us as a PA announcer, is not only are we grateful for him doing it, but man, he's really good. And there's those parents they're fine, they volunteer, serve, but they want to be in the background and really do not want any recognition, just an opportunity to serve, to help whatever program. So definitely like to thank them. And we have a couple of our coaches. I know a couple of the moms that help us with the women's basketball program, Coach Sid and Coach Imbo. They give a lot of their time and efforts, and I could really say that about if you look at Coach Robin Most and the growth of the tennis program. We actually had our first ever tennis senior day yesterday, and just watching the growth of those programs under her leadership is it's unbelievable. And I know she has great coaches with her. So we do. Our staff works hard. They're very professional. They want to win, but I think they want to see the kids have an opportunity to reach their potential in those areas we were discussing earlier. That's so good. excellent extracurriculars and co-curriculars help to make for a well-rounded student and person. And so again, thank you for your work, and thank you for your staff's work at bringing that to bear on Providence Academy's programming. It's a vital piece of what we do in
Thanks,
fulfilling our
Jason.
mission. Yes, sir. Well, I'm here with Dr. Teresa Webb, Chair of the Board of Directors here at Providence Classical Christian Academy. You've been serving as board chair for how long now?
Oh, I think this has concluded my third year.
I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I so appreciate your leadership and the board at large and their service to the school. Many times what is done by the board goes unseen. It's kind of behind the scenes, so thank you for your leadership and your service. I wanted everyone to hear a little bit about what the board does and some of the vision that you have in your role. And I know you got to share at the gala, for instance, and not everyone was present to hear what you shared at that point. But what would you like to share in terms of the board of directors' role here at the school and what's been accomplished, especially in this current school year?
Okay. Well, about the time that the school year wraps up, the board really gets to work. So in the summer, usually in the month of June, the board meets for an extended period of time, and it's our strategic planning session for the year. And so we will we'll get, when I say get away, I mean just get away from the campus and look at things like our strategic plan. We will look at the survey results from the spring and fall surveys. And then we will look at some stability markers, some things that a board would look at to just assess where the school is in terms of long-term stability. And then we will sit with that and then develop from that and also alongside with our strategic financial plan, and develop for the year just direction for the upcoming couple of years. So we will develop an annual agenda for the administration, for you as our sole employee, and an annual agenda for the board. And so from that annual agenda will come our board committees, and most of our board work is done through committees. And so some of those committees repeat from year to year. They're standing type committees, and then some are new and specific for the year based on the board's annual agenda. So some of those standing committees include the finance committee, and so the finance committee this year has been quite busy. They really have. It's been a financial audit year with our having independent auditors on campus, and so the finance committee works closely with them. And also, of course, for our annual filing of our 990 tax return. And then the Finance Committee also this year developed a strategic financial plan to accompany our strategic plan so that we have a good roadmap for accomplishing all the things we need to accomplish. And another committee we have is our Governance Committee, and that committee works, is the committee of the board, really for the board, to make sure that the board is educated and perpetuated from year to year. And so it's they also take responsibility for planning our annual strategic planning meeting. So, and then we have a head support and evaluation committee because the board has a sole employee, which is our president, Mr. Ross. And then the board delegates the day-to-day operations, of course, to you. And I might say you have a really great administrative team that comes alongside you to execute the day-to-day administration of the school. And then we have a task force that came out of our last year's strategic planning committee, and that was our policy review task force, who took a look at this year a couple different policies. And so those policies that were reviewed this year were the parent-student handbook and the athletic handbook. So for all of our families to look forward to in the fall, a revised parent-student handbook and athletic handbook both should be much easier to navigate and find what you're needing to find in there. And so
they are much improved.
Much improved. And that is one of the main responsibilities of the board, is to set the strategic direction and make sure there are policies and procedures in place so that all the operations of the school operate within a with a standardized set of policies and procedures and plans. And then we also have a facilities committee, which makes sure that the school has adequate facilities and is also looking forward to helping plan with the potential, the new permanent campus, those facilities. So I guess that's a good segue into where
That is a
are
good
we
segue, yes.
with the facilities. So I shared a few things at the gala that you, or gala, whichever it is,
Whichever.
that you mentioned, and really it was a recap of kind of what has happened, where the school started, and where the school is now, and about the land. So you want me to
Please
share a
do.
little about
Yeah,
that?
share a little more.
Well, I may have to use my notes because it's a history timeline on my notes here. But the school started in 2004 with 39 students in one small church building that was leased. And I love hearing stories of the founders at that time with setting up pipe and drape to just separate out classrooms in that space, and a lot of work and effort went into that. And the school's grown by leaps and bounds.
tremendously.
And so we are up to 520 or more students, K through 12 now.
That's right.
And
What a blessing.
yes, what a blessing. And leasing several beautiful facilities, several churches, the Collegiate Center we have here, several athletic facilities, renting for fine arts performances, and all of that. So in 2015, we located that beautiful 66 acres that we have out around Lowell and purchased that for $1.2 million. So that is the home of our, or will be the home, is the home of our permanent campus.
Such an exciting vision.
It really is, and it's a beautiful piece of land, and it sits up high, and will be a beautiful location for our permanent campus. So where we are on that is we were able to pay off that debt within 5 years, and so we paid that off in February of 2020. And so that's when we had our Starry Night Gala and raised the remaining funds to pay that off. Well, then March, if you remember, March of 2020 is when we kind of had that, right after spring break, seemed like the world shut down, and
Yes.
then
Pandemic.
we've had this several year. It's going into seems like several years. I guess it is several years. Wrestle with the pandemic. So where we are now is trying to get started back with that. And our last gala, we raised money for infrastructure, which is the not too exciting but very necessary part of getting started from there. And so now we are looking forward to our first building. And that will be multi-million-dollar fundraising that will need to go into that. So, but we are looking forward to that and planning toward that, and it will that'll be several years
From start to finish.
from
it will
start
be.
to finish. And so, but it's definitely the direction that we're looking, and that'll be exciting one day to have everyone on the same campus.
Well, as you know, God has been faithful to provide.
Yes.
He is Jehovah Jireh, and He has been for Providence from the beginning,
Yes.
as you've pointed out in the timeline. So I'm confident that He'll provide in His timing for that campus.
He will, and I don't know if everyone knows, but several provisions that were obviously God provided, things that have happened, like we had an adjoining landowner donate 5 acres. Ingress and egress was a little bit of a problem, and so we had an adjoining landowner donate this 5 acres that will be that main ingress egress. We've also had gifts in kind of some initial dirt work and land moving,
Yes.
dirt
Yes,
moving there.
earthwork, yes.
And so that was quite a blessing. And we have the Schmeeding Foundation who donated $55,000 for our
Yes.
first project. Coming out of the pandemic, we knew we wanted to do something. And so they provided those funds. So the softball
Yes.
field, the practice softball field is
It's taking shape.
this is taking shape.
It is.
Almost completed. And I was trying to see if there was something else that we Oh, a big one. The city of Lowell needed to expand their infrastructure, their sewer type lines and service lines. And so the path across Providence land was the best path for them. And so that actually will save the school hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, because all of a sudden the tap into those lines is close. Now it's not something that we have to do ourselves. So God has certainly been faithful.
And the fact that that line comes exactly where we need it for our master site plan is just such a God thing.
Such a God thing.
It really is.
It really is.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for that update.
You are
Dr.
welcome.
Webb.
It's exciting. It's an exciting time.
You know, one of the initiatives we had in this school year around the theme of Be the Light is to establish a portrait of a graduate. And so we've been able as an administrative team to work on that and then submit it to the board of directors with input from you along the way. And I'm really excited about that simple statement that will help drive our vision and outcome for what a graduate would look like or should look like, from Providence Academy.
Yes, and it will help inform so many decisions at the school level and even at the board level, if we just so that we know what the end result really intentionally needs to look like, and then making decisions, and so that's something else for parents to look forward to. And graduates in the fall is looking at the portrait of a graduate and just keeping that focus on what a Providence experience from start to finish is intended to result in.
Yes.
In that graduate, which is the center of what we're really doing, is investing in those future leaders for Christ.
Keeping our eyes on the end in terms of this stage of their lives, at least.
Yes.
From the beginning makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for your leadership on the board of directors.
Yes, I'm glad to be able to.
It's a lot more work than many know.
It is a lot of work, and it is behind the scenes, which is where it needs to be. But it is. We have a great board, and so everyone works really hard, and we have a great administrator. So we're really pleased to have you as our president of the school.
Well, thank you, Dr. Webb.
You are welcome. Blessings.
I hope you've enjoyed this snapshot as we as a community have strived to be the light this year. I hope you've appreciated hearing from some of our team leaders. We have competent servant leaders in place, and I'm so blessed to serve with them as well as the rest of our faculty and staff who are amazing. And I just want to say have a great summer. God bless, and see you in the fall.